Tory 44. I hope you guys are having an excellent week. I'm going to go over something, excuse me, today that I've mentioned to you guys a bunch of different things that have happened with OSA, the Office of Special Affairs, which I just realized I didn't post my whole thing on the basic skeleton of Scientology. So first I'm going to do that because I want to go over that with each of you. It's kind of like just what is Scientology from my viewpoint, right? When I was in. Okay, so first of all, you've got your public, which are people that just get into Scientology, they buy a book, they do a course, something like that. They're called public. That's all they're doing. And that's what I started with in 1969. Then in 1972, I joined their C organization. So they've got public, they have staff, which work pretty much days or nights. And then they have the C organization. Hubbard used to live out on the ocean, and he had a group of kids that he called the Sea Organization. They eventually came onto land, and they're still called the Sea Org. That's why they wear those uniforms, because they're, Sea Org, right? Okay, so you've got those three things: public, staff, Sea Org. Now, a couple other things. Above that, you've got management and RTC, which are the top dogs, David Miscavige, and most of his buddies that used to run the religious technology center, I think it is, RTC, he's put into this SP hall now. So that's what I've heard. So, he's kind of, I think he's going a little bit nuts, which isn't surprising because he's kind of a creepy guy anyway. Hi, Dave. That's my little 1-1 thing for him, because anybody who left is obviously what they would call 1-1, because you have to be covertly hostile or you would never leave Scientology. Right? So it's amazing all the things that go on that you would never leave Scientology. You have to have overs, you have to be evil, you have to have done all these bad things. And they can have people that are at the top of Scientology and they'll leave like that, boom, well, you didn't know this about them, blah, 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 blah. And Hubbard said, if you don't have dirt on somebody, make it up, right? So they're really good at that. I mean, you can read all kinds of stuff about me that is not true. If you ever have any questions about it, ask me, because I'm very willing to tell you the truth on things. They are not. They've got their little story about me, which makes me look pretty crummy. It's not true, but that's what they've come up with. So those are the things. You've got your public, staff, Sea Org, management, and upper management, RTC, right? Now, as far as the bridge to total freedom, Hubbard started with Dianetics. And then he came up with this little thing, if you want to make money, start a religion, right? So he changed it into Scientology. Dianetics had up to clear. It really just had clear. That's what it was. It was kind of the original people just got together and co-audited together, meaning you would audit me, I would audit you, kind of thing. And auditing is like counseling. And, they would have little wins, and that's a whole other thing to tell you about Dianetics. But they had Dianetics. Okay, now he realized the first clear didn't really work, where he said they'd have a perfect memory. She couldn't remember the color of his tie. So with that, he went, whoa. He was a science fiction writer, you have to remember. By now he had a little fan group that were paying money to come hear his lectures, so he came up with some science fiction stories, which he called the Operating Thetan. Thetan being spirit, operating meaning supposedly somehow they're operating, right? It's all top secret, right? From that point on. Clear is top secret, but the OT levels are super top secret, right? So you never hear anything about this. This conversation we're having, like I've said before, I've never had with any of my friends of 30 years or my husband of 27 years. So OT1 is just sort of this bogus, I'm not even going to waste time with it. OT2 is a little bit more, it's more opposite, you're running this stuff. It's all, kind of seeing how you jump through the hoops, making sure you're confidential, you'll never tell anybody, your ethics are in, you're not PTS. They have all these little terms, to make sure that you're really on the train of mind control, right? So finally, for me, in 1979, I get onto OT3. You have to pay for every level. You have to remember that. Every single level you're paying, right? And OT3 is quite a chunk of change, which I paid for myself, even though they've got all their little lies about it. But I had my own business, and I paid for OT3. I got on it. They put me in a little room all by myself, and I open up this pack, and it says 75 million years ago, this evil warlord Xenu create, on a planet very similar to Earth, had to handle overpopulation, so he killed a bunch of people. And it goes into the whole Xenu story, which if you want to hear the exact story and see it, just type in Scientology + South Park, and that's it. It has the whole OT3 story on it. But it's unbelievable. And the first time I heard it, I was just like, no way. This can't be OT3. But then, it's like a man hears what he wants to hear. You've been way grooved into it. You've been talking to people for literally years, for me, about how fantastic OT3 is. So and people will say, well, that would never fly with me. I wouldn't buy that. But you don't know. That's why I say it's like the Truman Show. You can't see the walls. Do you see what I mean? And you're surrounded by people that are telling you every day, wow, I got an OT3 and oh my God, my whole life has changed. I fixed this and I fixed that and I'm better and blah, 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 right? So I, as I've told you, had at the time, and probably, I don't know if I do or not, I haven't had a seizure in 20 years, but quote unquote have epilepsy, right? So that was my thing. It was like, wow, maybe OT3 could fix epilepsy, right? So there you go with that. Now I'm into it. I'm thinking I'm erasing it. So I'm like really changing because I'm truly believing what I'm believing, right? So you've got Dianetics, the OT levels, and then they go all the way up to OT8. That's on one side. On the other side, you're learning how to audit someone else or to fix them, right? And that's expensive too. You have to pay for that, and then you start helping other people. Some people have started businesses auditing others. Hasn't been hugely successful, but some people have made a business out of it. Okay, so that's the basic structure of Scientology. Now they also have ethics, which you hear about a lot, where people have to write up their overts. So if you're traveling on the bridge to total freedom and it's not working, they send you to ethics. And the ethics officer says, well, let's look at what's wrong in your life, because it must be that you're connected to a suppressive person or you have misunderstood words or, there's something you're not handling, right? Because that's what they believe. Your ethics must be out if you're not having wins in Scientology. So that's ethics. And then there are also a bunch of front groups which they've started. That's a whole nother video I'm going to go over with you. But that's the basic structure of it. Now, you've heard of the RPF, right? So the only people that go on the RPF, which is like their slave camp, are the people in the Sea Org. If they don't do something right, I literally saw Miscavige, one of my really good friends asked him something about his fork, and he said, I don't like his tone level, put him on the RPF. No kidding. They finally threw him out of the Sea Org. It was a nightmare. I feel really bad for that guy. And for many people, because it's a really bad routine. But that's only for the Sea Org. The Sea Org is a billion-year contract. They try to rope in young kids, so if you are young, stay away from them, because they're very good at what they do as far as recruitment. Although, luckily, thank God, because of the Internet, all the critics that have put up websites for years, and now Anonymous helping spread the word even farther, it's pretty hard for them to rope people in, because people are getting very educated on their routines. All right? So that's the basic, what is Scientology for me? My biggest win, your biggest fear when you're in is that you're going to get declared suppressive, because those are the worst evil people, and you get kicked out of Scientology, you lose all your friends, cut off from everybody. But when I finally realized, Andrea said, what kind of friends could those be if they're going to leave you because you change your mind? I realized, that's it. You're right. These aren't my friends. They're only my friends as long as I'm jumping through the hoops. And shortly after that, I left Scientology. I was declared a suppressive. They didn't really have any dirt on me, so they just made up a bunch of stuff. And I've been free ever since, and it's been great. So it's like the true OT thing that happened to me and most of my friends who are out is we left. We finally said we're done with this. And it's a wonderful world out here. I'm very happy to be free of Scientology. So there you go. That's Tory's What is Scientology? I'm in the book What is Scientology? They'll probably reprint it because they don't like having SPs in their books. But in the meantime, if you pick up a hard copy of it, I think it's in both of them. The picture's in the hard copy, but it's in both hard and soft. What is Scientology? I'm in it with my little win on my parents. All right? So there you go. March 15th is coming up. I hope you guys are getting your friends to come, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you.